Make the hard work as easy as possible. I was reading Eddie Holt's book, which he calls the world's strongest book, while I was traveling, and it has some good takes. Now, in my honest opinion, this book has a lot of unnecessary repetition and a lot of fluff and should have maybe been one third the actual length it is. But I understand why the author does it. People tend to buy longer books because they feel like they're getting more words per dollar. But if you're someone like me, time is scarce. I would rather get a zero fluff, 100% value book than an artificially inflated book where everything is repeated 3-4 times. Because I don't want to waste hours going through the nonsense, right? I just want the value straight out. I don't want to read the same thing 6 times in different words because the author wanted to make the book fatter so it looks good in a bookshop. That said, Eddie gives us some useful advice. And the best thing I found from his book was this: make the hard work as easy as possible. Quote, I always think, how can I build my life around whatever challenge I'm taking on or goal I've set myself? Sure, it's a bit of a commitment, but it's a commitment to making my life easier. When I take on a challenge, there are always tough moments and plenty of hard work. But I always say, make the hard work as easy as possible. End quote. So, the main advice is to pick what your main goal is and build your life around it. Try to make your job as easy as possible to do. And here are some examples of doing that. For example, if you want to lose weight, let's say your challenge is fat loss. Well, one way you can make your life easier is to not have any unhealthy foods in your house in the first place. So when you have a hunger craving, you are forced to eat healthy. Munching on junk food is not an option because junk food doesn't exist in your kitchen because you didn't buy it in the grocery store. Another way you can make your life easier is by using zero-calorie drinks like Diet Coke or Pepsi Black or something else to manage sugar cravings during emergencies, when you're really about to break. One more thing you can do is starting your day with a glass of black coffee because caffeine reduces appetite. You can walk 2,000-3,000 steps after every meal to get your 10,000 steps done on autopilot. You could hire a chef to cook healthy meals for you if you can afford it, or you could just learn to cook yourself. Or you could start eating the same foods each day, and this works for most people. This is like what the bodybuilders do: chicken, broccoli, rice for lunch, fruits for snacks, dinner is eggs with meat. Simple stuff, eat the same stuff every day. If you're not losing weight, then reduce the quantity of the food. Let's say that you have a different challenge. Let's say your challenge is waking up early. Well, how can you make this challenge as easy as possible on you? How can you make the hard work easier? Well, for one, you can keep the alarm far away from your bed. So when when the alarm rings, you have to get up and walk a little bit to turn it off. And here's another one. You could prepare some coffee in a shaker the night before and leave it right next to your bed. So you can just drink your coffee right when you wake up. And that's what I've been doing for a while. Whenever I want to wake up early, I will make some coffee and I will leave it right next to me. And let's say I want to wake up at 6 a.m. The alarm rings at 6 a.m. I'll quickly drink my coffee and then I will turn the alarm off. So this way I have some coffee in my system and it helps me be awake. You could go to bed on time so you are not sleep deprived the next day. This also makes your life easier because it's harder to wake up early when you are sleep deprived. Another thing you could do is you could not exercise late at night and don't use screens late at night. So your body is sleepy when it's time to sleep. One mistake I used to make when I used to try to wake up earlier but I couldn't do it was I was training at 10 p.m. And when you do that, your heart rate is super high. You are just so awake that you can't sleep by midnight. You will sleep by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then you will have to wake up later. And the simple one, no caffeine afternoon. Any coffee you have to drink has to be in the morning. Okay, simple things you can do to make your life easier if you want to wake up early. Now let's give you another example, okay? Take quitting porn, for example. Well, the simple thing, get a girlfriend. Because every time you want to masturbate to porn, you can just have sex with your girlfriend. Well, the worst case scenario, if you are someone who can't get a girlfriend, I don't know why, but you could be living in some kind of extremely conservative Islamic country or something. And, it might not be an option. And in your case, you could just masturbate without porn if you lack the will to resist masturbation completely. You could find ways to be less alone, because if you are more alone, you will be more inclined to masturbate. So you could work from a coffee shop instead of working alone from home. The more alone you are, the more you will want to jack off, and this has been observed in animals as well. Animals who live in cages, monkeys, when they are put in a cage, they will jack off all the time, they will masturbate. But monkeys in the wild will rarely masturbate. So that's the thing. If the more alone you are, the more you will jack off, the more you will want to watch porn. So try to be around people more. And use sexual transmutation to harness your sexual energy. Use your sexual energy into productive endeavors. I have a full article on how to do this, and I will leave that in the description if you are watching this on YouTube. And if not, you can just go on lifemathmoney.com and search for sexual transmutation and find that article. Here's another example. Studying. Keep your phone off when studying to minimize distractions. So this way you can't get distracted by some message showing up, and you've made your life easier. You can study better. Then you could study the subjects you find hard and boring first, and not let the hard stuff pile on for your exams. Sleep enough so you actually retain what you learn, because memory and sleep are heavily linked. Spend more of your time studying the useful stuff and aim to get a passing grade in the nonsensical bullshit. And this is something that I used to do a lot. So we used to have a lot of subjects that I personally considered useless, like geography. And I don't think I studied geography much. I would always just pass. In the sense, out of a 100-mark exam, I would get 40. And the passing grade used to be 35. I would get like 40, 45, 48, things like that. But for the stuff I considered useful, like math, I would get like a 99 out of 100. For computers, I would get like 100 out of 100. So I would get like the best grade for the stuff that I considered important. And for the useless shit, I would just pass. Although sometimes you might suck at realizing what's useless or not. Because back in my school grade, right, back when I was in school, I used to think that learning English was useless, and I would fail a lot of English exams. I mean, getting like 5 marks out of a 100-mark exam, 10 marks. I just sucked at it. And I used to tell myself that it's not like I'm going to become a writer when I grow older. Why do I need to know grammar? Why do I need to know all this nonsense? And here we are, I'm one of the most popular writers in the world, if you want to just go by my blog. So you never know what you might end up doing. So be conservative when you cut out the nonsense, but stuff that is obviously nonsense, right? Like gender studies or some kind of, diversity training class, all that bullshit, just get a passing grade. You don't have to waste your brain cells studying it. Here's another example. Take dating. Let's say that you want to get better at dating, you want more dates, you want to have sex with more girls. What can you do to make this challenge as easy on yourself as possible? Now, for one, you could put yourself in situations where you are exposed to lots of women. And this is like the main thing. You could join a dance class or a Toastmasters club or anything where there will be lots of women and you are expected to be social. If you're invited to a party, go. Get good information about dating. So you could read the entire Book of Pook, right? This is the best book out there. It's a little dated, but it's still one of the best books when it comes to dating. And it's entirely free, so you could read it at bookofpook.com. You could give yourself a challenge to cold approach a new girl every day. And I have an article on this, so you could just go to my website, lifemathmoney.com, and just search for the term cold approach. I'll give you like the step-by-step method, the thing that I always used to do when I was cold approaching women. It's free, right? It's an article. Just go and search for it on my site. And of course, the main thing, again, the second main thing maybe, is to create a fun lifestyle that all the women want to be a part of. Are you actually someone who's interesting and enjoyable to be around? Or are you like the type of guy who just goes to his job, comes home and watches Netflix or some shit like that? Because If you're not interesting, women will not want to be around you. Women are already boring, right? They're looking for a guy who can take them on adventures and have fun. The last thing they want is to be around a boring guy. And if you're boring, that's like the fundamental mistake you're making with women. So fix that shit. So in short, whatever your goal is, think about how you can make it as easy as possible to do it. If you have to design your lifestyle around it, how would you do it? What changes would you make? How would you make the goal as easy as possible to achieve? Figure out those changes and then make those changes. That's it. That's how you make the hard work as easy as possible. And that's the strongest advice in the world's strongest book by the world's strongest man, Eddie Hall. Have a good day. If you like this video, hit like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching it on a podcast, subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment, leave a review, etc. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode.